Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back another video from Seth the Programmer. This is an interesting one because Itachi is one of my all-time favorite characters in anything. And we've got why 99.9% of fictional characters can't take Itachi in a 1v1 fight. It's interesting that it's 22 minutes long. Didn't think it needed to be that long. Bigging up my man here. But his genjutsu is just ridiculous. The way he does his genjutsu is unreal. Like, he doesn't even need to, within the Naruto verse anyway, before we get into this, he doesn't even need to make eye contact. Like, that's unreal. Like, his ocular stuff where it's meant to be like, look at the person in the eye, and they're, where people train to look at their feet and look at the opponent's feet to avoid that. Itachi don't. Like, he gets around that. So, let's see where this goes.
Hello, everyone. It is I, Seth, with the bowl of carbohydrates. And today, we're going to be talking about... This will be slightly worded weird, but I feel as though when you're on the internet and you look up, say, a Naruto video, like, how strong is this character? How strong is that character?
There was
a
Suikage
type
from
of
there.
scaling, you know? How strong is Minato in his own verse? Here's his narrative in his own verse.
Yeah.
Everyone's pretty guilty of that. That's whatever. But this video, it'll be focusing more on why Itachi is a bit of a cross-verse demon. And
Nice.
he has been a cross-verse demon for a long time. Now, Itachi's never been really, say, like, a verse soloing character. You might be able to argue maybe Edo Itachi is a bit more like that, but, you know, normal Itachi is not so much. But Itachi is more like a 1v1, like, heavyweight. And that applies to even characters much more powerful than him.
Yeah.
He doesn't really care. And this isn't something new.
No, it's like, it's ridiculous situations you get put in. As soon as you're with him in a room, it's like, what do you do?
In fact, this has been going on since, I want to say, 2013.
Damn.
Like, it was before, like, Raditz versus all those characters really became a thing. Yeah, a long time ago. People used to make memes of Itachi beating the Living Tribunal. Obviously, it wouldn't happen, but Itachi even soloing his own verse, like stabbing Madara and stuff. Like, that used to be a thing. Now, obviously, there's varying degrees.
Well, they killed him off
believability
because
about
he
those
was going to
things,
kill him.
but it kind of goes to show that this has been
Sure.
ingrained in a lot of people, that Itachi really does have an overpowered moveset. And unlike characters like, let's say, Pain, Kakazu, Deidara, Sasori, or whoever else, really, Itachi doesn't care if his opponent is stronger than him because he can bypass it. He can bypass it multiple ways in very subtle ways. So he can basically almost off-guard one-shot pretty much anyone standing in front of him, which is something that Pain, Kakazu, many of these other characters just really don't have the
they don't have that,
tools to use. There are some other characters in Naruto, and the reason Itachi is obviously not like Hagoromo of his verse is because there's very niche counters to his abilities within his own verse, and they're aware of what his abilities do more than they would in, say, a cross verse. That being said, this has been going on since the dawn of Itachi, and his abilities being showcased probably against his battle against Orochimaru, really, and whenever these data books came out, explained.
Well, yeah, because Orochimaru was made out to be like the big bad in Naruto, and then it was like, oh, turns out he's scared of this guy. It's like, whoa.
What his abilities are. But I think the first thing to deduce is that Itachi is a decently fast character. You know, you could argue he's anywhere between like 3 to 72 times speed of light, depending on how you calc, like maybe him glitching around the Raikage, all the light speed statements in the data books. Maybe it can go higher, maybe it can go a little bit lower. But he's pretty conventionally fast, like let's say compared to like Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero Academia, where these characters are really like only the top of the top, maybe hit light speed, and then you kind of have to like jerk around that. Itachi is just dozens of times over that. He has a pretty decent speed scaling that lets him get into or above most shonen verses. Obviously, maybe more heavy hitters like, you know, One Piece or Bleach or Dragon Ball or whatever. He can't really reach some of those sometimes in certain arguments, although you can downplay them as well. But for the most part, most verses just aren't that fast, and then he has a bunch of Duranegs or, you know, mind haxes and things that they just cannot compute. So even his AP is just irrelevant. If he's too fast, he just wins by default in most of these shonen verses. Most fictional verses, like Game of Thrones, ain't taking down Itachi Uchiha.
No, of course
fight.
not.
No one's
Jesus
doing
Christ,
that, right?
no way.
Even the Avengers, a lot of those characters, really everyone's kind of falls victim 1v1. And I brought Noodles here today because he's been sort of on his war grind here with the Itachi versus Bleach stuff. Now, we're not going to get totally into, say, Itachi versus Bleach, but I think it's sort of informative and a bit educational because this is a primordial argument. Like, this is an ancient jutsu. being
It's
showcased
been a while.
that has been very old, and obviously it's been honed a bit through the data books and more understanding of, higher dimensional mind hacks and that stuff, and more, novel translations. But yeah, just go into detail about how you would start that kind of off, like why you think most characters just fall victim 1v1 like to Itachi.
The issue is like there's a lot of characters in fiction who have broken abilities, but not many of them can just look at someone and instantly defeat them, and that is Itachi's primary ability.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, he doesn't even need to look at him. I'm hoping he mentions this.
I can just look at you in the eye, and I could cast an infinite potency illusion.
Yeah, and I can make you believe that you've lived a whole lifetime before I kill you. It's like, what?
Into your mind. Like, when people think about broken jutsu, or broken abilities in general, from like Jujutsu Kaisen, or anything like Gojo or Sukuna, right? Like, Gojo's infinite void that he can summon, right? People think that has crazy mind hacks because it puts infinite information inside your mind. And I know I keep mentioning this infinite information thing. It's because Itachi's Tsukuyomi is stated in both the novel and data book to have infinite information being put into it. It's stated in the second data book that it creates an infinite sized nightmare realm that's like injected into your brain.
And then he controls how long it technically is lasting for. So he's controlling the time within that. Like,
his own universe. Even.
Yeah, he just creates the whole universe, and he's manifesting everything.
Because the thing with Gojo's thing is, with all those people where if he can't control how long it's affecting them technically with it, he has to actually like limit it in its own time. Like, he affects all those people and they're in a coma for 6 months in the hospital because he had to like switch it on and off like instantly, whereas Itachi can just go, hey, this is how it's going to work, and I've got all total control over it. Like, I feel like that's more powerful.
In it, he can control everything from space, gravity, and time itself. He can alter all of those things. That's why, like, when Kakashi's put in there for 48 hours, in the real world, only a moment passes, but inside there, it's been feeling like hell or eternity.
Incredible.
Tortured, So it's kind of hard to, like, just get around an ability like that. Now, if someone had, say, the mind hacks resistance to do it, sure. But when you really think about it, how many verses have, like, as high of a mind hack scaling chain as Naruto? Not many,
Right.
It's hard to get to get around the mind hacks chain. Bleach has really good ceiling hacks chains. Like, there's multiple levels of like power suppression and like sealing and things like that.
With Ichibei and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got like conceptual abilities and the ability to name everything in creation and stuff like that. Like, he's got his own hacks in his own right. Honestly, I would even say that that ability in particular is more impressive than Hagoromo's creation of all things jutsu, because even though Hagoromo can manifest things, he doesn't manipulate them on a conceptual level, whereas Ichibei does. So there are certain haxes in Bleach that are just super disgusting and strong. Now, the problem is, the best mind hacks used in the whole verse is Aizen. And Aizen's mind hack never has, like, an infinite statement or anything like that. It does affect Yuha, which I'll probably get into in a minute, but...
It depends. As soon as you see his sword, you're always under its effect. So isn't that infinite? Am I wrong? Am I being an idiot here? Like, that's infinite, isn't it? Surely. Like, if you see his sword, you're instantly affected by that forever. There's no breaking out of it. Alright. Okay.
A lot of the issues surrounding Aizen's mind hacks is that it's just described as affecting the five senses, which, as we all know in part 1, Jiraiya describes all genjutsu being able to do that. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily just Aizen's equal to some base getting like Sakura could just resist his illusionary techniques or whatever. But yeah, like, I generally equalize these things as well, because even though Ryatsu isn't the same as chakra, you would agree, Seth, that combining those for the sake of discussion is
You'd
very
have
fair
to.
And should be done in a power scaling debate.
Yeah, definitely.
Regardless, though.
Yeah, Aizen's a
Yeah, you take Dragon Ball Z, you take Naruto, Chakra, and Ki, the same thing,
complex character. I mean, maybe it works on like a spiritual sense too. Who knows? But, Tsukuyomi in general, not only is it an instant mind hacks, you have to have a very specific named resistance, or else you lose. Like, you can't cope. Like, well, my character's higher AP. It doesn't matter. Does he have mind hacks resistance? And that's where people's brains literally get Tsukuyomi. Like, they cannot comprehend that a character needs a new resistance to this attack. Like, they can't just have bigger muscles and resist the attack. It just doesn't work that way. You might be able to make, like, a slight cope. Like, let's say, like, maybe Yamamoto's, like, in his Bonkai or something, and then, like, you argue he has like this spiritual existence erasing barrier around him or something. So like maybe Tsukuyomi's chakra can't like reach him in his Bankai or something. Like maybe, but you know, it's like you guys get the idea. It's more so if Yamamoto squares up to Itachi and he looks at him, he's gonna get f***ed up. He's not gonna know it's gonna happen, and he doesn't have that resistance chain. He doesn't have those statements. That's the problem. And it is sort of like it's like cheesing. It's like cheesing a boss in a game. That's what Itachi does. He cheeses his opponents every single time.
Right. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Like saying,
yes, this is interesting. All right. Yeah. I'm getting this. You've put down a phrase that I'm totally down with.
Saga Goku. You think Saiyan Saga Goku's got universal mind hacks? Probably not, unless you think Saiyan Saga Goku has some outer-versal scaling or something. Maybe he has some outer-versal comprehension because of the afterlife being dimensionally transcendent, which is an exaggeration, obviously. But even Saiyan Saga Goku, Namek Saga Goku, Cell Saga Goku, why do these characters resist a universe in their brain? Why would they? Why would Sukuna, Toji, all these characters? Luffy, why does he have that resistance? And maybe, some experts of these series, they might point out certain things. Maybe Luffy has a particular mind hacks chain that you could bring up. I doubt it. But, if you could, and that's the point. You need that new level of argument. You need that new deduction, or else your character loses. And it's not just like a mind hacks where your character's like, oh, damn, that hurt, damn. No, Itachi can kill you with this thing. So, like, he can literally make your entire life flash by faster than light, and then your brain...
This is my favorite one. Like, as sad as it is, with his girlfriend, man, it's like live a whole life and die.
Will think it lived its life and then die.
There you go, yeah.
Let me read to you what the novel said about the Tsukuyomi. My Tsukuyomi is spiritual destruction via genjutsu. It also says in the second data
well
book
done spelling via wrong. It's 3 letters. How do you spell
Itachi can kill you with
via wrong?
So, like,
let's do that again.
Literally make your entire
Sorry,
life
but let's check this
flash
out.
By faster than light. And
right.
Your brain will think it lived its life
okay.
and then die. So, like,
let me read to you what the novel said about the Tsukuyomi. My Tsukuyomi is spiritual destruction.
Spiritual destruction. That's not via.
Via genjutsu.
It's vae genjutsu. Anyway.
It also says in the second data
it's
book.
3 letters! How did you spell a 3-letter word wrong? Anyway, Jesus Christ.
That say it also just destroys your soul.
That's hilarious.
Hero in the Akatsuki novel when he fights Hero and
sorry, that's really tickled me. It's a 3-letter word. Come on. Anyway, sorry, go on. Oh my god.
These like 2 poison bee brothers. Kind of weird, but when he fights them, he casts the Tsukuyomi on Hero.
Stupid shit, I guess.
He felt his memories and his personality washing away.
Very.
So he was erasing all of his memories. He was erasing his personality. He was basically going to turn him into like a brain-dead, soulless vegetable, right? And that's what the Tsukuyomi is going to do to you. It completely fries you. And it's not even just a universe that's getting put into your brain. It's like an infinite amount of information that is all dedicated to torturing you.
And then he manipulates it to however he needs to torment you.
Yeah.
It's very...
That's the thing. He controls it. Oh, it's unreal.
Personalized. And he can control this however he wishes, like he spares Kakashi or whatever. Not only is the Tsukuyomi just a very subtle attack, it's a very believable attack. Like, it's very in character for him just to hit someone with that attack, especially if they're really strong looking or whatever. Very goofy. He uses genjutsu right off the bat with many people.
Yes.
And now we get to the second part of it, and that's where you also can get Dura-negged by Itachi. And so he has sealing techniques, so even an immortal being can get
the
sealed
Totsuka Blade.
He can defeat immortals, and he can defeat people stronger than him. And the Totsuka Blade can also
That's so true, yeah, you can use it on Nugget.
Physical durability. You need something greater than physical durability. You need more like astral, spiritual, more or less physical durability statements to actually resist it. Like, Goku doesn't really get statements like that until really more so like the Buu Saga, maybe when they're dealing with spirits, or even like kind of in Dragon Ball Super when they're dealing with like existence erasing attacks or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that guy.
Yeah, many characters don't have non-physical durability. Like, if you attack their soul, they're going to get chopped up. Now, Bleach Bleach does, because everyone in Bleach is a fucking spirit, like a Zanpakuto, chop your spirit or whatever.
Yep.
But most verses outside the big three, I think the big three in general has some decent spirit stuff. I think of JJK, right? In JJK, you know, Toji has the split soul katana, or, you know, Maki, and this is considered a Duraneg weapon. And it's like,
yeah,
that's
definitely
just
is.
Itachi's Totsuka blade slashes. On average, every single thing is going to Duraneg everything in this verse if it gets a hit on them.
Sorry,
And
I've got to order my takeaway.
Also catches off guard
Soon.
a lot of characters that are just stronger than Itachi. He actually did this to defeat Nagato in his own verse. I mean, believe it or not, he just Duranegged him. And
Yeah, that's
him
true.
Away. Crazy that people think he's stronger than him.
Crazy.
And then after he Duranegs them, or he Tsukuyomis them or loops them, he can then seal them into a gourd. They're eternally drunken, incapable of like thought, consciousness, or whatever, and they're sealed away forever. And then that's that. So that's the second part of his attack arsenal.
That was the mad thing with Orochimaru, because it was like, this is my ultimate form, and he was just like, yeah. And he's like, shit, this is the sword I've been looking for years. He's like, yeah, I got it. I've also got this fucking shield as well, and I got this fucking Susanoo. I got all this stuff. Nobody can do anything. I'm just ill. You know what I mean? I'm ill. That's want to kill me. No one's gonna kill me except my own body.
More comments on his actual weapons, but I think that's sort of, you know, the overview I would explain.
Yeah, like you mentioned the Totsuka blade.
Ain't nobody killing Itachi himself except himself. Let's go.
A perfect offensive weapon. Like it's the best offense in the entire data book.
It's unreal.
It's the strongest. It can cut down any enemy. It says all of these things about the Totsuka blade. What it does to you is it pierces your soul itself and then seals it inside of the blade for all of eternity in a drunken world of illusion. Right. So not only is it like sealing.
So where was Itachi before he got brought back? Was he just screaming his head off? And then he's just like, because he seemed pretty chill when he came back. You know what I mean? If this is what it did, and that's where he got taken. Seemed pretty relaxed when he got brought. I'm sorry. Oh god, I'm having such a good time with this video.
It's also mind taxing you on top of it. So, and for all of time, for like an infinite amount of time. So even someone like Aizen, who just could live forever, would be sealed in it for him. Now, Aizen might have some sealing resistance, to be fair, but irregardless, like the point is that he just has like multiple Duraneg attacks, the Tsukuyomi's Duraneg, and that automatically just bypasses any strength difference. The real arguments always come down to speed, in my opinion. So, and to be honest, that is probably the weakest area for Itachi, but even his speed is genuinely good and downplayed because he does have like multiple faster than light feats.
Right, compared to most verses, he blitzes most of them. It's really the big three in general is just kind of fast.
Yeah,
you know, I think in general, most verses are not as fast as the big three in general.
Yeah, and specifically with the big three.
Yeah, no speed feats.
Similar feats in a lot of ways.
No, My Academia and all that. There's no way they're keeping up with anyone in that. Nah, no way, no way. Tell me a question. Nice. Sorry, I need me food. What scheduled for later? 10 o'clock. Let's go. Keep going.
It's like they all can like dodge like laser beams and things like that. They all can react to attacks. They have multiplier statements and things like that, right? Like the Bankai, stage mode, Luffy's second gear, right? You can just generally kind of find a consensus that they tend to be around faster than light, maybe multiple times faster than light. And Itachi, a lot of the time too, wins these fights, not even just because of speed, but because the alternate character likely wouldn't just blitz immediately, right? Some characters don't just want to necessarily run in there, guns blazing, without like getting an idea of their opponent first. So I do think that like someone like Aizen probably would sit there and watch him for a bit, you know, maybe just try and get a gauge of how he fights.
So even then, you know, Aizen is like, I think Aizen is like, you know, the most extreme example, you know, obviously because he has all the hacks.
Yeah, do you reckon he'd be? Oh, this is interesting.
Aizen is really like, it's either him, Yuha, or Ichibei are like the cross-verse like monsters. Like Ichigo's not even contention for cross-verse compared to those three at all. He's completely useless compared to someone like Aizen or Yuha. So, you know, if you just threw, you know, Itachi in front of Ichigo, hit him with Tsukuyomi, or you were to hit like Grimmjow or many of the Espada, or, you know, really most of like what the Admirals or any of these characters in One Piece, dude, even characters that are arguably stronger than Itachi are scared of his Tsukuyomi.
Yeah, like Kabuto should have been stronger than Itachi, but then he was like, do you know what? I'm your weakness, bitch. And he just takes him out.
Yomi in his own verse. Like, it's just, these characters just do not have these specific resistances, especially to astral attacks, but Bleach does. Now, there is then sort of like the final pieces of the Itachi puzzle, which are sort of fail-safe techniques, where he adds another layer of hacks, where it's like, okay, maybe you can argue Gojo has some type of mind hacks resistance. You know, I think Tsukuyomi's way greater than Infinite Void, but maybe you can, like, try to kind of wank it out, like, there's still...
No. Sorry, I've already said it. He doesn't seem to control how long it actually could last for, or like, you know, direct it as well as Itachi does. Itachi can go, this is how long it's going to last at you. Gojo had that moment where all those people around him, he needed to use it, and he switched it off and on straight away because he couldn't control how long it's going to affect them.
Infinite information back and forth or something, but Itachi then has another layer that you have to have resistance for. So yeah, and that would be, I think it's Izanami. I always get it confused, like left or right.
The Izanagi is the fate.
Oh, I never remember which one's right. Izanagi, Izanami. I never remember which one.
Dude, I would say it. I've said it like 50 times.
Swag Kage needs to come back as well, man.
Please. The Izanagi is the one where Danzo uses.
Yeah, so Izanami is then the Fate Loop. And then the Fate Loop adds a completely different level of resistances that you would need to counter that. That's more like causality and stuff like that, which many, many verses do not even remotely touch upon. In Bleach, that was only touched upon when Uchiha appeared, and it made him basically omnipotent.
Yeah, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Right, as an example.
Yeah, you got like this guy that's like, I can control this, I can control that, and he's just like, don't get.
Example. So why don't you go into details about some of the things that it can do, and then, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, like, reality warpy ability, like both of them. Izanagi itself is literally stated to combine illusion and reality. So it basically is like you cast a genjutsu over reality itself and alter what's happening. So that's why, like, even though Danzo did just, like, get stabbed by the arrow, he warps reality to come back to life and just make that not happen, right? So it's very similar to Yuha's ability, how he can, like, look into the future and just change reality.
Yeah, but he's just limited in how he can do it.
Reality to whichever future he sees that would benefit him, and he just alters reality to that one, right? And it's very similar how Danzo uses it. And Danzo's not even like a good user of it because he's not even Uchiha.
You could argue Itachi can use that as well.
Yeah, he definitely.
He should probably have both.
The fact that he knows about the Izanagi and like knows its entire origin story and also learned the Izanami, so would suggest to me that he probably, you know, learned the Izanagi as well. And that is just something Itachi would in character do anyway. So I do think he knows both the Izanagi and Izanami. The fact that he can just warp reality at the sacrifice of one of his Sharingan to save his life if he needs to is really good. Because if someone uses like a big fail-safe jutsu, kind of like Pain Shibaku Tensei, you know, his body kind of collapses.
Or Datara self-destruct.
Yeah, so if something like that happens and he dies, he can just revive himself. So that's useful in its own way. But the Izanami in particular is a very potent jutsu because of what it does. It's kind of similar to like almost like Doctor Strange type hacks, where he's able to just throw you in an infinite fate loop or an infinite time loop where you're constantly just fighting
like Dormammu.
Yeah, he's literally
exactly. Yeah, Dormammu has to force like changing his fate because otherwise he's just gonna keep dying.
He's Dormammuing him. You know what I mean? To Sage Kabuto until he like concedes to not be a bad guy.
That's exactly it.
That's what he did to him.
That is exactly what he did.
Even if you want to say that someone could eventually break out of it and then say, oh, well, fighting's still in their character, it leaves them completely immobile, and then Itachi can do whatever he wants with them while they're immobile. So that's another benefit to it.
You can put them in the Totsuki blade.
But anyway, continue explaining. My bad for interrupting that.
So yeah, I think that like the Izanami in particular is pretty damn good because of this like unique fate hacks that not a lot of characters have. I mean, Yuha is one of the few characters, Ichigo maybe, or like some of the few characters that like have statements surrounding like fate, right? Naruto, I even saw a statement for Naruto the other day that he broke the cogs of fate, so maybe he has some like fate resistance.
As a fun fact, Naruto has a luck stat implying he has minute favorable fate manipulation. Yeah, that's a weird different separate argument.
Yeah, I mean, we also know karma and things like that exist in Naruto, so there are just some things from like Buddhist ideology that are just incorporated into Naruto, so I definitely think there is some like fate in involved. But regardless, when, like, Uchiha, for instance, can just alter reality, Itachi, I can argue, can just seal fate and prevent Uchiha from jumping to a new reality, because that's what he does with the Izanagi users, who also are changing reality just like Uchiha. Now, people argue Uchiha does it better, and he does do it better in the sense of precognition, in my opinion. I think he can see more realities than anybody. I do think that the Sharingan is also stated to have a couple statements and a couple things implying that it can manipulate time as well, though, such as, like, Madara's, like, weird...
In the video game. This happened in the video game, but Masashi Kishimoto was involved.
Weird game footage where, like, he rewinds
There you
time.
go.
What else? There's the second data book statement that says the Mangekyo Sharingan gazes upon the past, present, and future. You know, stuff like that, right? So there are certain statements that suggest it can manipulate time. I think even Danzo implies Itachi has some time manipulation. But yeah, like, these abilities to, like, see the future and stuff are really good. And the ability to change the future into what you want is what makes it broken. And the Izanagi and Uchiha are able to do that. So they do that via the same reality warping thing. And the only difference is that he is picking the reality to bring to him. And because of that, I think that Itachi could potentially, like, seal off his fate manipulation.
Crazy.
Now, that's just a possibility, right? He just has so many different variations of, like, fate hacks and time hacks and mind hacks and a bunch of, like, one-shot win conditions that just make him kind of like this demonic spaz crossverse where he can just, like,
I
one-shot
love
you.
that. It's a demonic spaz crossverse. Jesus Christ. Because he is. It's unreal.
Cheeser, bro.
Yeah, he does so.
He's a one-shot cheese character.
One-shot cheese
Very
character.
strange
He's
like
got
that,
like
yeah.
so much like Batman intelligence, like feats too, where he's like thinking like multiple decades ahead and like freaking out Obito with his level of planning. You know, nearly kills him after.
Oh yeah, with the Amaterasu. Yeah, when he just looks Sasuke in the eye, it's like, whoa, he was planning ahead.
Dies, you know, just stuff like that. After like fighting Sasuke and Orochimaru and beating them both.
Crazy people think Obito's stronger than both.
Yeah.
But that being said, you know, obviously I have my own thoughts about Ichibei or Aizen or whatever. But Itachi as well, it's just like compare him to like many, you know, One Punch Man characters. Dude, imagine Boros tries to square up to Itachi and get Tsukuyomi.
Done.
Like, he has no resistance.
Done.
He can't do anything. There's literally nothing. There's no statement
He's just
he can
done.
survive an astral attack. There's no statement he can survive a mind hack. Even if Boros could blow up a star, like he's still
Who cares? He's still getting done.
Yeah, he's literally getting mind broken. Like
yeah, like he could blow up a universe. So what? He's 1v1 in Itachi. He ain't freaking winning. Yeah, this is crazy.
And that's why like 99% of characters actually just can't deal with it.
Yeah, I love this.
It's a very bizarre, specific set of circumstances
Yeah.
that just lets him do that in many cross verses, even if it doesn't translate one-to-one in his own verse. But even in his own verse, he's like weirdly overpowered for like his actual team strength. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he could potentially beat other people that he shouldn't really beat, but he does.
consider. So
Yeah, I think that you really just got
People that are stronger than Itachi would probably think twice before joining in a fight.
blitzing them like to a point that it's like unreasonable, or you gotta have like some kind of like crazy hacks resistance to deal with him, like a more hacks character. And you know, not to say that like Bleach characters necessarily lose to Itachi. I know I was kind of repping that earlier, but like characters like Uchiha and things like that, I was more so talking about the interactions with their hacks. Like Uchiha and Aizen potentially have like, you know, multiversal feats, right? Things like that, and they have like massively faster than light feats too. I think Itachi does as well, but I think that you know, it can get a little more contentious than just, oh well, Itachi seals him or whatever.
Bro, you'd need like a Viltrumite. Like if you wanted a Viltrumite to beat Itachi, it would have to be like flying from like the Andromeda galaxy at like full speed, like into the Leaf Village, and like killing him through his house. Like, while he's not expecting it.
Yeah, it's very specific.
Like, so that's the only way it's gonna beat him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
something absolutely just stupid.
Yeah,
like,
it's gotta be fast as hell, man. Like,
yeah. Either way, though, guys, that's really kind of the base of it. You could probably make like a crazy video on like all the crazy stuff Itachi could do. But yeah, there are obviously characters that can beat Itachi in a fight. No one's saying he's like omnipotent.
No, yeah, but like what they're pointing out is it's very, very difficult for a 1v1 for Itachi to lose.
We're not like memeing like that, but you know, we're just saying there's a reason people still bringing him up in all of these versus battles, despite, you know, maybe you don't see him as the strongest character in Naruto, but it's like, why are you comparing him to this guy then? You think Naruto could take that guy? It's like, no, but Itachi can.
Yeah.
You know? And
it is a crazy discussion. That's fun.
Itachi can beat many people Naruto might not be able to beat as well. So, anyways, guys, do hope that you enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out Noodle's channel. It'll be in the description. And until next time.
Peace. Fun video. That was so cool. Like, yeah. God damn, that was fun. I think I made some valid points as well, but we'll see what you guys say in the comments section. That was very interesting. And, yeah. Thanks for watching.